All right, here we go for our final video of review number 7. So typically as the task goes on, questions get a little bit more difficult. So number 15, for instance, you have a couple of different variables that we have to solve for here. And so there's really going to be kind of two sections to it. One where we figure out how to solve for y, and then one where we're solving for x. So first off, we know that these are vertical angles, so we can actually set those equal to each other. So 7y plus 8 equals 8y minus 3. And then we're going to subtract 7. I'm going to put my little lines in there. Easier to see that they're 7s. Subtract 7y from both sides. And that's your 0. And you have 8 equals y minus 3. Add 3 to both sides. And you get 11 equals y. Okay, so we know that 11 is y. So once we know that 11 is y, we have to figure out what this angle actually is, so that we can figure out we use that information to figure out what x is. So we're going to substitute 11 back in for y here, and that gives us 77. 77 plus 8, and that would be 85. Okay, 85 degrees. So we know that this part of the angle here is 85 degrees, which means that this has to be 95 degrees. Because if this whole thing is 180, we can subtract from 180, 85, and that gives us 95 degrees. So this is 6x plus 17 is 95 degrees. So we have 6x plus 17 equals 95 degrees. Okay. So subtract 17 from both sides, and you get 6x equals, well, 15 is 8, 9, 78, divide by 6, and you get x equals 113. So we got 13, x equals 13. All right. Next up, we have what value of x makes the horizontal parts of the letter z parallel. So we're saying this is parallel to this, and we'll know they're parallel because this angle is congruent to this angle, because they are alternate interior angles if this is parallel to this one with our transversal, right? So think about this as a transversal, two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So if these are alternate interior angles, they are equal to each other for those lines to be parallel. So we can subtract x from both sides, and you get x plus 15 equals 45. Subtract 15, and you get x equals 30. So this question really is testing two parts. Like, do you understand what parallel lines are, and can you see the alternate interior angles, and do you know that alternate interior angles are congruent to each other? Okay, pardon me. Got a lot of information happening down here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lines, and it's saying line B is parallel to line D. So B and D are parallel. C and P are parallel to each other. So C and E are parallel to each other. So this is parallel to this. And then it says, use a diagram to find the missing angle. So anytime we're dealing with find the missing angles, the first thing you should do is substitute in or fill in your diagram with the angles that you know. So if this is 35 degrees and measure angle 5 is 90 degrees, oh, we got some good info here. Okay, so if this is 90 degrees, now we can use that information to figure out kind of the rest of the puzzle pieces. All right, so with that, I want to make sure that we can start seeing what information I just start filling out information like with whatever we know. So I know that this has to be 90 because it's vertical angles. I know that this has to be 35 because of vertical angles. If this is 90, if this is 35, then angle 2 has to be 35 because they're corresponding. If this is 35, then I know that this right here must be 90, the whole thing, and so 90 minus 35 would be 55. So angle 6 has to be 55 degrees. Oh, there's one right there, 55 degrees. Okay, so if I know that that's 55 degrees, then I know that its vertical angle right here, coming across, is also 55 degrees, which is angle 4. And then angle 3 is down here, and if angle 2 is 35 degrees, then angle 3 has to be 35 degrees because they are also vertical angles. And we are done. Okay. Let's keep going. A couple more to go. Malcolm tried to find the value of x, but he has done the problem incorrectly. Your job is to find his mistake and redo the problem. Okay, so he set up that 2x plus 5 equals 30. Well, he's saying that this angle right here and this angle are equal to each other. And you can just tell by the size of the angle itself, like how many degrees it is, that these two angles are not congruent to each other. So this right here is his mistake. And your job is to find the mistake and redo the problem. Okay, well, we know that these are consecutive angles, and consecutive angles are linear pairs, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So we have 2x plus 5 plus 30 degrees equals 180 degrees. So I'm going to just subtract 30 from both sides. So you have 2x plus 5 equals 150. Subtract another 5, and you have 2x equals 145, and then divide by 2, and that is x equals, well, I'm not something I really want to do in my head. I probably could do it if I thought about it, but I might get it wrong. So we have 7, and that's 5, 14, 5, and so 2.5, 72.5 degrees. So x equals 72.5 degrees. All right, up next. Are the lines parallel? If so, how do you know? You might know because they are corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior consecutive angles. Okay, so this is saying 115 and 65. These are consecutive angles, okay? So we can add them up, and if they equal to 180 degrees, then the two lines are parallel. So we have 0, and we have 11, 12, and plus 6 is 18. They add up to 180 degrees. The answer is yes, because they are consecutive angles. Next up, we have 150 and 10. So we're wondering, is this line parallel to this line right here? And we would know that if this corresponding angle and this corresponding angle are equal to each other. So is 60 plus 50 equal to 110? And the answer is yes. Ooh. Man, sorry, I'm boring myself. And so the answer is yes, and they are corresponding angles. Okay. Last one up, and hopefully we'll have less than 10-minute video. I have 1 minute to go. All right, EQD, find measure of angle EQD and MAQ. And so what information do we have here? I like to label it again. That's 90 degrees right there. And we are looking for EQD. So EQD is right here. Okay, so EQD. So we know that this is 90 degrees, which means that this must be 90 degrees. So if this whole thing is 90 degrees, we can just say 90 minus 55, and that's 5. We have 9 minus 6 is 3, so this must be 35 degrees. And then AQE, AQE. Well, if we know that this is 35 degrees and this is 180 degrees from here to here, we can do 180 minus 35, and you get 145. Done. Ooh, made it by 3 seconds.